Alright there geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Game Show. And I ask you this, friends, is there anything more annoying than when a video game wrests control away from you to deliver a cutscene that is just so utterly badass that you wish you'd gotten the chance to play it for yourself? Or how about when your character, who's been kicking so much ass so very recently when you're controlling them, suddenly forgets how to breathe and blink at the same time when the cutscene begins and you end up being force-fed a humiliating loss? Surely all of these moments are better when they're in our control, right? Right? Well, the games that we're going to be talking about today offered up sequences so boring, pointless, or so strangely short that it would have actually been better an option to be told to put the controller down and just sit back and watch. We're talking walking down boring hallways, boss battles so easy they should have been relegated to cutscenes, and even entire ending sequences that should have just been mini-movies. So let's have a chat, as I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are boring video game sequences that should have been cutscenes. Also, thank you very much to my mate Max for this video game suggestion. Love you, matey. So let's kick things off by talking about Xenosaga Episode 1. Now, to be clear, my friends, Xenosaga Episode 1 on the PS2 is a great game. A bloody great game, in fact, with countless hours of RPG exploration waiting for you with open arms. And its battle mechanics are solid enough that you could build a garden shed on them. It's just a shame that it takes about, I don't know, let me check my watch, 10 hours or so to get over itself and let you actually play the game. For no reason whatsoever, the hand-holding in the early hours of this title are vice-like to the point that it makes Okami's never-ending tutorialization look like a drive-by. You will spend hours, and I mean hours, walking from point to point only to be told a block of exposition or have a very minor mechanic explained in exhausting detail. I get it, onboarding a player is important in keeping them locked in for the long run, but you will genuinely be held at arm's length from the actual fun of Xenosaga Episode 1 that it will actively turn off tons of players.
I hope you'll be able to understand someday.
So what's the solution? Well, compress, condense, and cutscene the shit out of things so that we know the stakes, know who the enemies are, and have a rudimentary grasp on how to play things. And if you disagree with this, just remember that the first real quest hits you around the 2.5 hour mark. Surely there is some fat to be cut here, right? And speaking of cut, let's go over to Fallout 3 and talk about Colonel Autumn. Okay, like normally I wouldn't even cast a horse looking out the side of its eye shadow over Fallout 3, seeing as it's about as obscure as a well-lit picture of an arrow pointing directly at something which itself has got a red circle around it, but ever since experiencing this boss battle firsthand, well, I've been grumbling about it ever since. Now, despite it being a distant second to my one true love, New Vegas, Fallout 3 really is something to behold. A wonderfully grim and grubby experience that is engaging and fun for like 99% of its runtime. However, if you choose to end your run with a battle with Colonel Autumn, then you're also choosing to end your experience with an absolute duff note, because my buttery Jesus, this fight is an utter wash. After spouting about how great the Enclave is like an absolute stooge, the Colonel will open fire on you, seemingly forgetting that A, you're likely to have an entire party of fighters that are set to liquidate anything that threatens you, and B, you are the goddamn player, aka the chosen one of the wasteland, and are likely tooled up to the nines and wearing armour that is like putting a brick wall in front of your Iron Man suit. So that little pea shooter that he's got there, it's going to do very, very little. Oh yeah, and by the way, you have that, so headshot. In just a few shots, the Colonel is down, and his bodyguards join him a few seconds later, leaving little impact on the scene. Arguably, it would have been far better to have skipped this entire fight and put it as a cutscene. And yes, I know, I'm asking for the final boss of a video game to be cutscene, but trust me, anything is better than firing 2 or 3 shots and then thinking, round 2? Phase 2? What, is this it? Oh, come on. That crushing disappointment hangs heavy, whereas a cool cutscene could have saved the experience and given a memorable end to the Colonel. And speaking of end, let's talk about Breakdown's true ending. And so we now go from one disappointing final boss to an extremely aggravating final gauntlet that strangely comes after the final boss is actually defeated. Now this is Breakdown, and trust me, you will have a f***ing breakdown come the end of this game. The mechanics and ideas behind this original Xbox exclusive title are actually really impressive, what with it focusing more on realism and immersion by, I don't know, having your character pick up items off defeated enemies and actively eat food and healing items in order to get back into the fight. Plus it also features a rather comprehensive hand-to-hand combat system. It's just a shame that the devs didn't comprehend how unfun this would make the final section of their game. You see, after you've kicked the final boss Solus right in the chops, you're sent to a room that looks like a forest if it was designed by Apple, aka clean and soulless, because ooh, nature sucks apparently. And it's here that you fight off against wave after wave of enemies who will stun lock you with kicks to the gut over and over again. Sounds fun, right? Well, in case you couldn't tell, I'm being sarcastic.
Well, duh.
Because this was about as fun as feeding a puppy into a wood chipper. This segment absolutely sucks and will sap all the fun out of the entire experience. Honestly, it would be far, far better to take control away from the player and instead just deliver them a satisfying cutscene detailing your victory, because I don't know, man, watching your ass get handed to you over and over again by these guys stun lock, kicking you over, really does diminish the idea that you are the hope of humanity. It's like, I have defeated all of mankind's problems. You goons shall fall beneath my... Oh my God! Oh, you've winded me! Oh, can we just take 5, please? Oh, Christ, I'm gonna call my dad on you! Oh! And speaking about being kicked to death, let's go over and talk about Dead to Rights that kicked the concept of your morals to death in the stripper minigame. Dead to Rights, one of those early 2000s titles that arrived to the party with nothing more than a bucket full of dynamite and enough cheese to open a fromagerie, because this game was all about switching your brain off and smashing the fire buttons until nothing else was left. Actually, tell a lie, this game did actually have one pretty memorable thing going for it, but before you think that I'm going to be talking about your dog companion, which is admittedly a very cool addition here, you're actually wrong, because the answer is tits. And by explaining that, I mean it's got one of the worst mini-game segments ever that should be expunged from human existence. This is because Dead to Rights has got a different type of dog in it, and it features a full-on pole dancing mini-game that is so tonally jarring and so downright embarrassing that you'll wish that it could just be made into a cutscene so that you could skip it if your parents walked in and saw you playing it. Instead, we got a slow, laborious, and downright unfun experience where you need to press button combinations so simplistically you can actually believe that they were intended to be played with one hand, and were likely programmed with one as well. If this were a cutscene, it would take a fraction of the time, cost you only a modicum of your dignity, and we could all get back to shooting bad guys in the face over cringing into a woodlouse-like shell. Cheers. And speaking of cringe, let's talk about Driver 3. Bloody hell. Oh, Driver 3 or Drive 3-er. What to do with you, eh? You embroiled yourself in controversy through development all the way through to release. You threw shots at GTA all the time, and then you didn't even have the decency to try and even be bloody good. And those on-foot sections? Oh, P.U. P.U. What an utter stinker. Honestly, I'm just going to say it, the worst thing that Driver ever did as a series was get out of the car. And the same is pretty much true for Driver 2 as well, because lads, I hate to say it, clues in the name, these sections were just painful. If Drive 3-er was confined to the car hole, then it would have been a much, much better experience. I mean, don't get me wrong, the game is still littered with bad design choices and rushed development woes, but if we cut out all of the on-foot slogathons with their awful shooting controls and focused on a tighter experience for the player, we'd likely be able to sing at least some of this game's praises rather than just a eulogy of just how Drive 3-er tanked the entire franchise for a time. And yes, I realise that I'm asking for like 50% of this game to be cut, but honestly, it would be better for it. And let's close things out by talking about the getaway. Alright, Goovner, it's time to blow the bloody doors off this video and head down the apple and pears to the basement of forgotten British video game. I'm doing every accent that I possibly can around the country here. Just ignore the Little Britain horror that was there and Mr. Bean's wacky world. Because instead we're going to push past both of them and talk about another unsung British classic, The Getaway. Now this was a series that shone like a diamond in its paradoxically gritty depiction of London crime syndicates and definitely pulled a lot of focus for offering a real palate cleanser to the over-the-top action that was present in the likes of Grand Theft Auto. However, it also caught a lot of flack for a few sections that simply should have been relegated to cutscenes at best. At a few points in the game, your character is wounded or beaten heavily, and yet, much like the British motto that we're all raised to remember, you need to keep a stiff upper lip and carry on, which is arguably far harder to do now that your lip resembles a pool inflatable for how much it's just been kicked in. Now while this should have resulted in the player feeling like they're piloting a true force of vengeance that won't even stop even if the Grim Reaper is nipping at their heels, what it results in are elongated sequences where you're walking from room to room or down corridors, clutching your wounds, waiting for a trigger point to put you out of your misery. I'll never understand why we need to play these wounded sections, because they're never fun. They actually add little to the emotion of the story and more often than not just annoy players who just wish the story could actually continue. And yes, apologies to you guys watching this out there, because this might actually be a glass-shattering moment for you, where the next game you play where you have to do like a wounded section, it might actually infuriate you as much as The Getaway did to me when I was a kid. So yeah, sorry, but enjoy. And there we go, my friends, those were boring video game sequences that should have been cutscenes. I hope that you enjoyed that and let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, if you want to chat to me further, you can do so over on the social medias where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0 on Instagram and Blue Sky. And if you want to follow my lovely editor Mark, you can do so here on his social medias as well. But before I go, my friend, I want to say one thing. Even though we spoke today about boring video games, you know what isn't boring? Treating yourself well and having a good bloody life. I'll tell you what, that's pretty enjoyable, my friend. That is excitement to the max. But it always starts with just one simple thing, and that is being kind to yourself, to remind yourself each and every day that you're a massive ledge and you deserve the best things in life. Now get out there and start achieving those goals, my friend. But first, be kind to yourself. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon.